All right. Okay. So everyone, I have Jehan with me, and Jehan, we met how many years ago? Like, was it what,
It was
15?
like 20, no, it was like 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
I think we
Uh,
met when I was like 15. So yeah, it's 20 years ago.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I remember your mom, I guess, came to me or you came to me. I think it was you,
It was
right?
me and my dad actually that came to you.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
and what was the reason you came to me at that time?
Um, I think I was kind of in a weird place in my own education journey because I had tried so many different things to get, um, I guess, to a successful place, which I didn't feel like I was getting to. Like we had gone through like tutors and all of that, and I kind of just gave up on myself,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But
Yeah.
we decided to go to a career fair, I think that you were at the University of
Yeah.
Calgary, and I think that's where we had first met. And my dad just told me like, let's just go, let's see what they have, like let's just walk around, and then we ended up meeting you. And then when we were chatting with you, I think it clicked to me like what I was missing. What it wasn't like a specific subject. Like it wasn't like a math tutor or a LAT. Like it wasn't anything like that. It was like I just didn't know how to learn. And I think that's what was really holding me back. And I realized I'd never actually learned how to learn. And when you started explaining what this program was that you had going, I think it also kind of clicked to my dad too. And he was like, do you want to just try it? It's something completely different. And I was like, sure. So that's kind of what brought me to that spot in the first place. And then
Yeah.
everything just
Well,
kind of went up from there.
yeah, well, we'll get into that part going up.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that that's actually why I created the business because there's a lot of students out there that are just like you, like hardworking, motivated, had goals for themselves, but they just don't have the skills. And it's not even their fault because they've never actually been taught the skills. And now, if you think about it, your whole life resides on how well you do in school, but no one really teaches the kids how to do well. So now it's like, if you're a hockey player, you're like, you're going to go play hockey, but we're not going to give you any skates. So like, how do you do that? Right. So, yeah, that's why I created it because once the kids understand how to learn, then no course becomes a challenge. But because you don't know how to learn, because kids are not taught how to learn, they're trying to figure it out and then they don't do well and they think they just have to get a tutor to teach them the course again, but the core issue hasn't been dealt with. And
Exactly.
that's what we talked about. So yeah, so it was good. And it was really good. Um, okay. And then, but do remember a couple of things. I do remember that your attitude was fantastic because you came in and you were open-minded. You were ready to learn. You were like, hey, I'm an open book. Just whatever you got to teach me. Let's do it. And then, yeah, so let's talk about what happened. Let's talk about what happened. I remember what happened. It was actually pretty cool. So yeah. So what happened? Like I think it's just go ahead.
I
I want
think I think at that point, like I think you were just starting. So I think we
yeah.
were just kind of using a common space that you had, and we were just sitting on two chairs, and you were drawing out all these things. Um, and I think to me, I'm a very, very visual learner. So that actually helped me to learn that I'm a visual learner rather than an auditory learner. So I also didn't know that. So learning that in the first place was really helpful. So I actually started doing like this is basically my life. Like I draw everything now and I put it on paper and I'm just a tangible person. Um,
Yeah.
and so that it taught me that. I also like even just in our sessions because they were far enough apart, I was able to like work on certain things. Like you gave me some homework to do and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want more homework, but it was very, very helpful homework. Like I think you had gotten me to plan out my times by like half an hours, like my days by half an hours and add in flex time. And I didn't know what that was. I didn't even know that that was a thing. But when I actually put it on paper, I was like, I have so much time that I'm not using for anything else except for school. And I'm just going spinning my wheels around and around and around. And it didn't make sense to me until you put it on paper. So I still use that to today. Like I still plan my days out by the half an hours. And that's what really worked for me. So during every lesson, I think we might have had like 5 or 10 lessons or something like that together. And after every single lesson, I think I just improved, 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 improved. And my grades just shot up. Like I was at 50s and 60s. And then in grade 11 and 12, I was at 90s. Like I didn't go below a 90 after that. And It's because I learned how to learn.
Yeah.
It was crazy to me. It was mind blowing what I learned.
Yeah, I remember you were having struggles with your math quiz.
Hmm.
And it was like you kept on getting 50s and all that. And then we would meet and then you'd show me your grades and be like, I got 90,
Yeah.
95. I'm
Yeah.
like,
I was so proud. That
yeah,
was awesome.
yeah, that was amazing. That was really good. Okay. So you learned how to learn, but then we also taught you time management too, right?
Yes.
We taught you how to
So
manage your time. Yeah.
So that was super important. Like for me, I didn't know what to focus on. I didn't know that I had to basically open up my brain before I actually learned a lesson and then review it after to actually really make it stick. And that was something that you explained to me so many times in so many different ways. And it made so much sense to me at the end of it. Once I did it once, it was like, how can I learn any other way? This is
Yeah.
the only way to learn. So that's what I do. I did it in university, I did it in high school. I still do it today. I like it's just the only way to learn.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because once you understand your brain is like a muscle,
Mhm.
then it all makes sense. But everybody thinks the brain is like a container of information. So they cram, 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 but it doesn't work. But when you know it's like a muscle, then what ends up happening is you have to stimulate it, you got to let it rest, you got to stimulate it, let it rest. And then eventually through repetition, it gets much better. Um, so what were your grades like before we met? And then what were they like in high school? Like when we finally finished?
So before we met, I think in junior, I don't remember how they grade in junior high. It was so long ago, but I remember in high school they were around like the 50s and 60s range.
Yeah.
And I think when I got a 70 on something, I was so happy. Like I was just like, oh my God, thank God, at least I'm like normal. Um, but then after, I think it was maybe halfway through our lessons, I started to see a lot of improvement. And I think the first thing we had learned was time management and how to review and how to learn. And so I think after that is when I started seeing like 80s and I was like, this is a weird thing that's happened. But I was so excited about it. And then it just started improving from there. So by the time we were kind of done our lessons, I was in the 90th, like I was at like 90% basically. And I didn't
Yeah.
really go lower than that.
Yeah. I remember that because you'd show me your grades and stuff. So that's
Mhm.
fantastic. So then what grade were you in? Was that grade 12 when you got the 90s?
I think it was, yeah, I was grade 12. So like I didn't in when I was in grade 11, when I was kind of struggling before I met you, I didn't think I was going to university. So I
Yeah.
had no savings for university, like no plan, no nothing. I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to upgrade. It is what it is. Like I'm just going to accept my fate and like move on. But in grade 12, I started getting all these really good grades. My parents were like, this is whatever you're doing is working. Like, what are your plans? What do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. I didn't know I had options. And now I have all these options. What do I do with them? So
Mhm.
I ended up applying for universities and I ended up going to U of A, finished my undergrad and everything. And that was my journey at that point. But in grade 12, I was like, I have options and I never had them before. So
Yeah. I remember your plan was to do interior design.
I still did that. I still
Yeah.
did that. But I
Yeah.
did all the things. I did design, I did construction work, I did like a lot of different things
Yeah.
in my university career. But it's
Yeah.
because I actually had the options to do them. And I also
Yeah.
got to do my undergrad before I went into design school too. So
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
really nice thing that I was able
Yeah.
to do. And I actually was able to accomplish it and get a good grade in it, which I honestly did not think I would do.
Yeah. Fantastic. So then you got your 90s and then you got accepted into like one of the top schools in Canada, which is
Mhm. U of A.
University of Alberta, right?
Yeah.
And at that point, you didn't even think you were going to get in
No.
to university, right? And yeah, I remember having that conversation, like, I don't know if I'll get in. And then you get into U of A, which is, I think, at that time, it was the top, it was the third top university in Canada. So you got in. And then I heard through the grapevine that you got accepted into med school.
So I was able to like get through. I was able to apply. I didn't actually want to go to med school at that
Yeah,
point. When I was going into university, I really wanted to go into med school. I think after my first year, I was like, it's not for me just because of the all the exposure that I got from other people, like how to learn and how they were doing med school. And so I decided not to, but I did end up getting into master's programs and I did do a master's. So
yeah.
that was really nice. And it was in a field that I actually was very interested in as well. So
Yeah,
I
what was that?
never thought I would do it.
Yeah, what was that field? What was that?
Psychology. Yeah.
Psychology. Okay,
Yeah.
great. And I'm assuming you did well.
I did, yes.
Awesome. And do you remember what your average was like, what your GPA was like in
I think
psychology?
it was at a 3.9. It was 3.9 something.
Yeah, great. And you use the skills that we had gone through, right? Because they're transferable.
Exactly. I think honestly, I would just think that that was just my missing piece in like just school in general is
Yeah.
like they teach you one way. It's a very auditory way of learning. Sometimes it's visual, but you have to really accommodate to how they teach you in school. And that was just not my way of learning. And so once I learned how to take that and make it work for myself, it it changed my life.
Yeah, and what's interesting though, the strategies was just a small part. We actually went into your head and we actually had to get in there and we had to get you to stop believing that you didn't have what it takes.
Yeah,
Remember that? We spent a lot of time on that. Like
totally.
we literally had to convince you that you could do it,
Yeah.
right? And we had to say, okay, this is why you can do it. And this is why it's possible for you to do it. And then that's the part that I remember because then you started I remember giving you those lists and you started to come and every session be like, no, it is possible. I can do it. And then all of a sudden, when you started believing, then you started applying the strategies that worked for you, right? Because we kind of personalized them. And then it happened. So although everybody thinks it's all about the strategies, it's really about changing your mindset prior to using the strategies,
Mhm.
which to me is the part that you really did well at, right? Because
Yeah.
you came in with a good attitude. So, um, anything happen on that front? Like when you started coming in with a different attitude, did you notice anything different?
Oh yeah. Like
Did you
my
improve?
confidence was like through the roof. Like I think I came to with like a 10% confidence rate. Like that was where I was at. And I didn't really know what to do to fix the issues that I was having. I was like, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm reading out loud to myself. I'm doing all these things. Like I'm going to a tutor, like she's teaching me all these like math was my worst subject at that time. And I'm like, I just don't get it. I think I'm just dumb. Like it is what it is. I'm just gonna accept it. And I think once I actually started to understand certain things, and there's certain little pieces that I was missing, and then once I actually implemented those into my strategy of how to study, it started building my confidence up because I started seeing the results on my exams, on my papers, on my assignments. I kind of knew also how to ask for feedback as well because I wasn't doing that before either to improve on the next assignment or do you know what I mean? So it gave me the confidence to actually like look into what I was doing and how I was doing it and actually be like, okay, hey, I can implement this strategy here and this is how I like to do it and this is what works for me. So I kind of played around with our strategies too to make it work for myself.
Yeah,
And I think that was really important because I didn't have a starting point.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that really gave me the starting point and it gave me the confidence to move forward.
Yeah, even now as I'm speaking to you, your confidence level is at a way different level than it was when we first met. In
Oh
fact,
yeah.
it's too bad I don't have the recording of it, or I don't we can record it. But it'd be nice to see what you were like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember you
I'd
being
love to see.
quiet. I remember you being quiet, you being shy. You're just sitting there, you're just kind of listening. And now you're a firecracker,
Mhm.
which now kind of brings us to the next level. So you graduated U of A with a 3.9 grade point average. Okay, so now you get all these options. So what happened? What did you decide and how did you do it and what was your thought process?
So
And this is new to me. I don't know any of this stuff. So
yeah, no,
I'm hearing this like I'm hearing this for the first time after 20 years. So I'm interested.
yeah. So like my life kind of took a weird like spin. Like my dad had passed away when I was in third year. And so my dream was actually to go to school like a little bit further to go into like a after degree, some sort of after degree program. But I decided to come back home to Calgary and be with my family here. Um, so I took about a year just to work and see what I wanted to do because I had this Bachelor of Science in psychology and I loved what I did, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to actually be a psychologist. So I took a year to just figure it out, work a little bit and things like that. And then I always had interior design in the back of my head, so I ended up doing that. I ended up going to Vancouver and I did that for a year and a bit, and then I came back and I worked for a little bit here as well. And I worked on some really cool international projects as well, so that was really nice. I had a lot of background in like in my psychology bachelor, like my Bachelor of Science in psychology. It helped me through my schooling for interior design. And a lot of people think interior design is like decorating. It's not like decorating, it's like space planning. There's a lot of construction involved in it. You work really hand in hand with architects. So for me to actually have some sort of actual education behind me to be able to back myself up in a career like that, it helped me a lot. So I ended up working in interior design and construction and project management for a long time. And so now my actual career is in project management. But I also had the capability of being able to do little things on the side. So I worked in interior design on the side, for example, while I was project managing. And I also own my own business in bridal makeup and hair. So I can do all these different things because I learned how to manage my time. And if I didn't know how to do that, I probably would be stuck still. So a lot of these things have not only just helped me in education, it's helped me career wise, it's helped me life wise, it's helped me in everything I do. Basically, I plan, like I said, I plan my life out by the half an hour still, and I wouldn't do it any other way.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, what I'm getting from you is that you are confident in yourself to know that you can make it work,
Yes.
right? And these decisions you've made in terms of being a project manager, owning your own business, all these things are done purely because this is what you wanted to do, not because you have no choice or you're afraid that, hey, I can't get anything else. Like these are your decisions that you wanted to do, right?
Yeah. I had zero options before I met you, basically. I just had I'll
Yeah.
upgrade or I'll do a trade or whatever. Like whatever my life brought me to is what I would do. But then all of a sudden I had all these options and I was like, what do I do with them? So I just did them all because I could. So yeah, that felt really nice to have options for once.
Yeah. And then you had the confidence to do it. Like having
Yes.
options is one thing, but a lot of times people will say, yeah, I can do this, but I don't know if I can achieve that. I don't know if I can achieve that, but you actually were able to achieve what you wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fantastic. So that's really good. And as a result of this, what's really important to me whenever I work with students, yeah, results are one thing, and I think results based on what I teach are a byproduct of like good grades are a byproduct. But for me, what's the most important thing is giving the students um, a new lease on their life. So like now all of a sudden, like you said, options open up, confidence is there, and now all of a sudden the whole world is open to them. So is that something that you kind of experienced as well?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's funny just how the world around you changes when you change, like when your confidence level goes up. It's like this is a different world that I'm living in, completely different than what I had before. So that was a very nice feeling. And like you said, it's a byproduct of having the confidence now to be able to do it because I've proved to myself, okay, like going through high school was impossible for me. I did it, no problem. Going to university, impossible for me. I did it, no problem. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's crazy how the world changes after that.
And not only did you go through university, you had a lot of challenges along the way, right? Because you said your dad
Mhm.
passed away and all that, and you still managed to do quite well. So,
Yeah.
good for you. Was there like if you were going to talk to a parent or a child or something like that, what would you kind of tell them about the program and what would you kind of say about what it's like to work with me and what the experience was like? Mind you, this was 20 years ago. Now things are a little bit different. Now things are done all online, like the way you are.
Yeah.
And we still meet once a week and all that, but everything is now measured. It's quantified. We look at we look at the numbers, so self-evaluations, but we also look at the qualitative information too. So we understand what's going on, but we also measure it every week too. So now we can actually see the progress and where we're up and down and things like that. But overall, like what would you say if a parent was interested and wanted to know more?
I would say like that's the first step is being interested in it because I think if you're closed-minded about certain types of programs, like if this is like you've met this person and you're like, oh, this is not a tutor, this is like someone different, but you have to be open-minded about it. So that being open-minded is the first step, I think. Like I think my parents were both open-minded about what else to do for me, and this was the thing. This was the last thing that we tried, and that was the thing that helped me the most. So I think being open-minded is a big thing for parents. I think they don't know a lot about um, anything beyond tutoring. And I think that if I hadn't wasted my time with tutoring and I just came straight to you, I would have had a much easier journey, I think, earlier, like if I came in like junior high. Um, but I also like my dad was always of the mindset that invest in your education, whatever it is, just invest in it. It's worth it. Whatever the cost is, just do it. And I think that that also really helped, is having a supportive parent that was like, if you want to try it, just do it. Like, we'll just take care of it. It's all good. So I think knowing the importance of the education and helping your child learn to learn is a very important thing. And I think if your child is struggling and you've tried different things, like, I think it's tough to go with something you don't know yourself, but it's worth it to try. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just being open-minded and going for it. Because I think if we hadn't gone to that fair, I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have been in this situation. I don't even think I would have met you after that anyway. So
Yeah.
it's just the fact that he was willing to try and help me to do anything to get there was why we ended up meeting. And I went through your course and everything, and my life is the way it is. But I think that's probably the biggest thing I can say for parents, is to keep an open mind and to just try unconventional methods, which I feel like this is a bit of an unconventional method. Like, at that point, it definitely was 20 years ago. I think now that you've been an instructor, you've been like, you've done this whole journey, so it's not completely unconventional anymore. But I would just say go for it, honestly.
Yeah. And what was interesting is when I first started, I was very afraid because I was like, are people going to think I'm crazy? Like, what's going on? And I remember you took a chance on me, and I was like, no, I'm like, I can actually help you. And then when we did it, it built up my confidence even more. And then, after you, I worked with like, hundreds of other kids after that, and then my confidence grew and grew and grew. But even
Yeah,
when,
you blew up after that. That was crazy.
yeah, yeah, it was pretty good. But then the coolest part was that I got hired to teach this at two different universities.
Mhm.
And 6,000 students later, now I'm dealing with it's a different concept. But the main thing is that the stuff that I taught you is the stuff that I use.
Mhm.
It's like before you even do something, you got to know that you can do it.
Yeah.
You got to get
I
the
think
head right
also
first.
I think also just you as a person, you genuinely care about what the outcome is. It's not like, oh, hey, take the course. Oh, you did the course, great, goodbye. It's, you genuinely care. Like, you've done follow-ups with me like many years, like 20 years later, here we are still talking. So the
Yeah.
genuine care and compassion that you have for your students is admirable. And I don't think I would have learned the same from anyone else. So I think that also makes a big difference, is that when the person that's actually coaching you actually cares.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, that's something that that's actually why I created the business, because I remember what it was like when I was in school and no one cared. Like, the professors don't care, the course advisors don't care. And when I see what you guys went through, I was like, no, man, there's got to be a way to help them. And you're absolutely right. Like, getting paid and everything is good, but the satisfaction and the feeling I get from talking to my students like you who've done well, that's beyond like that's beyond the payment, right? I've actually helped a life, right? So that's to me, that's where the value is. And so I feel good from that standpoint. But again, I think before we worked, we also talked about it being a good fit. We talked about what your goals were and stuff like that. So I think that's also important too, because I make sure before I work with a student that they are a good fit, and that's why the results have been like I think over 90%, because we don't just take any student. I tell the student exactly what they need to be like, and I tell the parent,
Yeah.
and then we work together so everybody has a good chance to benefit. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, no, so I'm good with today's conversation. Did you want to add anything?
I think we covered a lot. Honestly, I think if anyone's considering this program, they shouldn't even consider it. They should just go for it. Like, it's worked for me. Nothing really worked for me in the past. Like, and this was 20 years ago, and I'm still using all these things. So if you're not going to do it just for your education, just do it for your life, because like, learning how to time manage is a skill of its own. So the fact that that was in there, like, that was mind blowing to me. So every time you went through something and drew something out for me, I still have my papers that you wrote.
Yeah.
Like, I still have them. They were just ripped out papers from like a notebook.
Notebooks,
And
yeah. Keep them next time we meet. I'd like to see them.
yeah, I will show them to you. I have them, and I always keep them with me. Like, I have them in my just in my I have a den, and I have all of my business stuff in there, and that goes with my business stuff. And if I
Uh,
forget how to do something, I go back to it. This is how I remember: review, look at it, and then preview, and
Was
then
it? And my
learn and
hand
review.
was that through my handwriting and I drew it out.
Yes.
And like, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
draw some graphs. You drew a sponge at one point to show me how the brain soaks up like a
Yeah.
sponge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. No, I'd like to see that. So thank you for your time. No, I
Of
really
course.
appreciate